track reviews.
Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. It's time for a track review. And this track review will be unlike any I've done thus far, really any review I've done thus far, because the artist in question is an unborn baby. The artist is not out of the womb yet. I guess I'm marking this off my bucket list here. Pretty much everyone I've reviewed as of right now is a born person, and this is going to break that streak, essentially. Let me give you guys some background in case you're kind of curious as to how all of this is happening. I know I sure was when I read, the headlines about this track, which comes from an album titled Sounds of the Unborn, slated for release in April via Sacred Bones Records. Again, here's sort of the skinny on this. Sounds of the Unborn was made with biosonic MIDI technology, which translated Luca's in utero movements into sound. With the help of her parents, Luca's prenatal essence was captured in audio. They designed a ritual, a kind of joint meditation for the three of them, with the MIDI devices hooked to the mother's stomach, transcribing its vibrations into the synthesizers they had on the other end. They let the freeform meditations flow without much interference, just falling deeper into trance and feeling the unity after 5-hour-long sessions. The shape of the album began to emerge, and Elizabeth and Ivan decided to just mix the results of the sessions, respecting the sounds as they were produced, trying to intervene as little as possible, allowing Luca's message to exist in its raw form. Now, in terms of the creation and the actual artistry going on here, it's kind of, difficult to, I think, make the case that this is purely the expression of Luca here. Obviously, Elizabeth and Ivan, even though, as they say, they tried to intervene into the sounds and the way they progressed as little as possible, I mean, they're still coming up with the whole process of this whole thing. At the end of the day, maybe it's more of a collaboration between Ivan and Elizabeth and Luca, not to sort of poo-poo the process and the concept here, because at the end of the day, it is very interesting. Obviously, this is like a very daring idea and something that I don't think anyone has ever done before. I mean, certainly, we've gotten lots of recordings over the years of fetuses and heartbeats in the womb and so on and so forth. I mean, I just caught a little video the other day where Andrew Huang took the heartbeat of his own, unborn baby and sort of mixed that into a beat and something like that. So, it's not as if this field is completely unexplored, but I haven't heard of, anything totally like this, just looking at the process and the concept behind all of it. So I'm pretty interested to hear how this has come out. Beyond that, I guess maybe I'm slightly afraid if I am to give an unborn baby a negative review at this point or at any point in my career, will I be canceled? Will I be seen as like a baby bullier? I don't really know. It is something that is in the back of my mind, but I'll just give my thoughts no matter what they are. And I guess just take that risk, I suppose. Look, I mean, whether I like the track or not, I don't want you guys talking any trash on this. Be kind, be polite, be nice. Let's hope this is the start of a very fruitful career for Luca. And fingers crossed on this teaser from the project being an unborn banger. V4.3 Part 2 is the title of this one. Let's give it a try. Ba-bam. Okay. What do I want to say about this? I guess after hearing this, I'm more curious than I was going into it, exactly what the process is and what movements and what synthesizers during these meditation sessions that were mentioned earlier were generating which sounds. What synths and what actions from Luca were making those deep droning bassy notes, the sort of swirling and sparse, almost metallic in tone synth leads, or even like kind of those persistently sputtering sounds that were occurring through this track as well. I mean, given the, I guess, description of the whole thing, I guess I was expecting the sound of all of this to be a little bit more raw and be a little bit more, I guess, like naked and, you know, presented in a very plain fashion. But as much as it's kind of like, you know, sold on this concept of like, oh, these are like, you know, the sounds generated straight from Luca, so on and so forth, and they may be. It's very clear, like a lot of artistic liberties are being taken on the production end. Sounds were mixed very methodically. There was a ton of reverb thrown on everything. And at the end of it, the whole thing sounds like this really spacey, ominous, dark ambient piece. In a way, it's a little scary. Not necessarily the kind of music I think, you know, I connect with, you know, babies being born or developed. I mean, usually that, I think most people would kind of associate maybe that sort of thing with a more of a bright, happy, new age type of vibe, but this is some dark shit. That being said, if I was to judge this purely like on the basis of being like this vast, open, dark ambient piece, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I thought the textures were cool. You know, and at the end of the day, that's like another artistic liberty right there, because yes, you know, Luca could be making, according to this process, any number of movements, but you as the person who's programming the synthesizer and developing the sounds that end up on the track, you know, you're kind of like choosing in that moment what those sounds are going to sound like in part when they come out. You're sort of helping to decide the texture. You're helping to decide whatever the EQ of these sounds are going to be. The production is good. I guess I'm just like telling viewers, don't go into this expecting to hear like, you know, literal recordings of what it's like to be in the womb or anything like that. Now, again, as a dark ambient piece, I found it pretty engaging, and if all the other tracks kind of ran in this direction, it could make for a solid album, I think. It's kind of difficult to judge something in this style and in this genre as a single or a purely standalone moment, because, you know, it's not like dark ambient typically just blows away, you know, the listeners over the course of like 3 or 4 minutes. But as a teaser, as a taster, I'm certainly curious, and, you know, it sounds like the process and the way these sounds have been developed in light of this process is pointing in a good direction. I mean, I think I liked it. I wasn't necessarily, you know, again, blown away by it, but it's something I'm into the idea of, I guess, growing on me when I hear the rest of the tracks, and maybe it's sort of a situation. You guys know I've done reviews and spoken on this before. You know, you have tracks that sort of add up into a thing that's greater than the sum of its parts, and they sort of reinforce each other. And I have no doubt that, you know, we're going to be hearing similarly dark, spacious sounds on a lot of these other songs as well. Yeah. I'm kind of messing with it. I think it's an interesting concept, but you guys listen to it. You let me know. You let me know what you think about all of this. Down in the comments over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Sounds of the Unborn.